Hi. I didn't know that you
Hi!
requested. Sorry. I
What?
just saw it now.
I only did it just now.
Oh, okay. It was showing me that I had 10 seconds left to answer. And I was like, okay.
This is an ultimatum. So I was just about to do my class, and then I was like floundering because I'm nervous and my kids kept bombarding me with stuff. And then I saw invite Jenny to co-host, and I was like, done. Say less. We're doing this immediately. So at the very least, I can give my class to a party of one, and you can react to it if you don't have to. Get out of here, children.
Sure. Mariah, this is Kara. Kara flies by the seat of her pants. She is our loving Libra.
Yes, I am. You know what happened? So, okay, just now I was walking my kid's boyfriend home. They're very cute. They're basically like besties, and they like to hang out together. And they're only 14, and I don't like it when they walk around town like together, and we'd have to go through the like a couple of busy streets in order to get home. So I was like, how about I just walk with you? That way Nola can walk back with me and not by herself. Yeah. And he doesn't have to walk by himself either. So we walked there, and on the way there, my kid like stops randomly, and Matthew, her kid, turned and like looked like, oh, we're waiting for Nola to do something. And I looked over and I was like, Nola, what are you doing? And she goes, I think I found a jumping spider. And I was like, oh, let me see. So I go over there, and I'm like, we're both looking at spiders. And we get back on the road, we get back on our walk, and this kid is like, so is that like your thing? Do you like insects and bugs and spiders? I was like, oh God, no.
This is just you. Just like
oh, I just know about them. So so we go, and then it was on our way back that I basically did the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. And I picked up a bunch of flowers because these cute little flowers were, the last time I saw them bloomed, they're weeds, right? They're like flowers like on the side of the road. The last time I saw them bloomed, I was like, oh, these are so cute. I would love to make a flower crown out of it. And then didn't, because I didn't want to pick the flowers, because I was like, I'll leave them for the bees. And literally the next day, somebody had mowed and like just tore everything down. And I was like, you bastards. So today I saw them again, and I picked them, and then I made a little, here, I'll show you. It's very cute. I'll show you. Hold on. I need to hide my paraphernalia before I do.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's untucked, but that's okay. So
that's so cute. Meanwhile, I chopped up all my lilac because my lilac was finally dead, and you have to cut it back so that it'll seed again. So I like took my clippers and I gave it a haircut.
Clovers?
Lilac.
Lilac. Oh, clippers. My bad. Okay, I get you. Sorry. I heard.
We're with it. We're here. We're doing it.
Okay. So uncomfortable. Okay. Okay. So, what are you doing? Did I interrupt you?
No. I'm just here.
Really?
I was talking to Mariah and Rose, who is in my chat, and we're just talking about babies and her grandson and what was going on with them. And then I saw the invite, and then I just stopped talking, and now we're here. So for those that were wondering, and I don't know if you're in the room or not, but the last time that Kara was up, we were talking about how she does illustrations, and she does this technique where it's like scrying, and she'll doodle and start just like making a mess of the page, and she'll find a face and then highlight the features, and it's remarkably close to a nose, the eye, the face shape to somebody's loved one. And she's done it on lives, and she's also done it for me. We met through a psychic, like developmental, pure based group, and we've never met each other, but we're basically like besties at this point because we both have crazy kids and we're full-on time moms, and we do the business stuff, and she's got psychic abilities and mediumship abilities and I've got it. So sometimes we team up and I'll do a reading and she'll tap in and draw who it is. Yeah, so you'll definitely, and she makes wearable altars. This chick is badass. She is so creative. She has, do you have any pieces with you? She makes wearable altars. So depending on your type of faith and like what part of spirituality that you're connected to, she can engrave, and you can wear pendants or associated herbs or even like little capsules and like little pendant and locket. She's got so much stuff, bracelets, wearable body chains. She's got the necklaces. It's so cool what she's capable of, and she crochets like a boss. Anyway, I love Kara.
I'm just gonna sit here and keep listening.
She's like, keep it coming. Yes.
That's one of those, like, you know, when you're really, really hard at accepting compliments.
Yeah.
It's really hard to accept compliments, but like it's just silly and off the cuff enough that you're like, oh yes, tell me more. So I've got the Go At It chain that I wear all the time, and this has every sigil of the Ars Goetia on it. And right now I'm wearing this as a necklace. It's wrong side. So this has moonstone and agate and quartz. And I've got snowdrop, and I've got some fly agaric, which is funny because I was just talking about mushrooms a few minutes ago with my kiddo. Like an open door that's kind of like to tell me to walk through those open doors. And then I've got mugwort and my own sigil, and I've got Belial, Lucifer, and Hecate here. And then right here I've got another one. I'm about to change this though because Maggie, the spirit, they gave me this spell. Gave me another one. Oh, and it's my pride flag.
Aww, I love it.
So
it's
okay,
so cool.
You're gonna fucking.
So she has a website if you're interested in her stuff, and she can like custom design. If you have your own sigil that you created or somebody created for you, she can do it. She has an engraving machine, so you just have to like send over the information and she'll put it on.
And I've got I'm starting I have a working relationship with a manufacturing company, so I'm going to be expanding soon, and they're going to make the things that are like the things that aren't going to change, like my charm casting charms, which are these, and the Pantheon chains. They're going to make those for me, so I don't have to, and I can get back to doing what I love. It's so exciting.
Which is the art and the making and the stuff and getting your hands dirty. Oh, I love it. Guys, you have no idea. When I first met Kara, she was like looking and researching and trying to find how to melt down her own metals and pour it into different molds. And she made a little goddess body for like the divine feminine, and like you could enchant it and like put incantations with it, but she was making her own, poured from metals melted. Like for her to be at this point, I have watched this woman like grow. It is so cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go follow her.
So I'm gonna like go over a little bit of my thesis really quick because hey guys, she did.
We're also very real and moms. We're like, take it or leave it. We're hustling.
I put all of this on my website, so it's like readily available for anybody. I'm gonna have a masterclass. No, I'm sorry. This was supposed to be my masterclass, but I'm gonna. But it's just like a free class that's supposed to like funnel people to my course, which is, guys, I need you to stop screaming for reals. Which is paid, but it's like a whole community. It's going to be, I haven't figured out all the details yet, but anyway, here. So, are you okay? So, universal geometric patterns generated by the human visual system, or entoptic phenomenon, were the first shared visual language of our species. So you can look at this in cave art, cuneiform. You can see this in the like Nazca lines. Like the same, and there have been plenty of like historic papers published on this that have been what's the word?
Researched.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting a lot of feedback from my kids' show, and it was like tripping me out. It was like, psh, anyway, sorry. So they are spirals, dots, or circles, radiating lines, so like lines from a center going like an 8-pointed star, but without the outside, just the radiating lines, and cross hatching, so just lines like cross hatch, like a hashtag, right? You can find these all over. You can find them all over the actual world because they are universal, because they are also entoptic images. So when you close your eyes and you look at the light, or you look toward the sun, or you look toward the sky, these kinds of like images are the ones that are created by your actual visual cortex, so it's biological, right? So you're seeing these images because that's how your cornea reacts with your cone, and how light reacts with your brain and your eyes. So that's where entoptic images comes from. So that's the reason why like you have a bunch of like cave-dwelling humans surrounding a fire in the middle of the night with zero additional light, literally just firelight. That's the only thing that it had, and sleeping by firelight. So it was completely pitch black, right, except for fire, which is a flickering light. And the flickering light, hold on, I have this written. I can mostly like remember it's a stroboscopic device which gives you between 8 and 12 hertz alpha theta border. So the candlelight like offers this strobing light at this exact tempo that your brain and your prefrontal cortex registers with because of evolution. Okay,
like the frequency of it. Interesting.
Exactly. So that, and then when you sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself because I went to search for that.
That's okay.
So biological, right? So the visual system generates these images. It generates like cross-hatching lines, radiating lines. If you look directly at the sun, like you're laying on the beach and you like just look up and you close your eyes because it's sunny, you will start to see like radiating circles, because again, that's just how your brain works.
Same.
And the time that I did it, I immediately saw the helm of awe, right? So with the like little lines on the outside, I think they're like this shape on the outside, the helm of awe. And I was like, oh my God, this is all starting to make sense. We've got spirals, we've got like these ancient symbols, everything across every early civilization with zero cultural contact. A radial circle or a spiral has been the dominant symbol for a deity. Period. Dot. Like anywhere you look, any continent, any place where people started writing, they referred to a god as a circle.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, obviously that is like indicative of like sun worshiping, but at the same time, like a lot of these entities, these like deities weren't necessarily sun gods, you know what I mean? So that's just like how shapes and symbols and stuff evolve. So the other thing is that foundational marks, when you're documenting them and you're just kind of like creating this like methodical motion where you're kind of going like this, you're creating that strobe effect with your own hand, right? You can see like with the video and with like the shadow on my face, like you create your own strobe effect. And if it's like dark enough and if the colors are close enough in like in a like tonal range, it looks like a stop motion film. Again, because that's how your brain is registering.
Receiving it. Interesting.
So when it comes to drawing, and when it comes to like the different ways that I draw and the different like methods that I use, using candlelight, working with similar colors, like tonal colors. Here, I've been doing this a lot lately, and they have been like, I was gonna say popping off. I guess I don't mean that.
That's okay.
But like this, like it's very dark, and I'm only using one color.
This is an example. Do you have a time-lapse video available, Kara, of you going from like just the sketching to then like blowing it up? Because I don't think my audience has like known you yet.
Yeah, I have those all over my feed, and I can create one of those from any digital portrait that I make, because like there's a feature on it that says,
Mariah, that's not even the craziest one. She has done this for Asmodeus, Lucifer. She's done it for Belial. She's done it for family and ancestors, like people. If you have an animal guide, she can bring up the animal. And she can get really detailed with it. She has like different type of like packages or tiers where like she has like different styles.
To like commissioned art or commissioned digital art. So like I'm not even worried about like who is. It doesn't matter as much like if I'm tuning into. And this is another thing that I figured out while I was like doing all of this research and coming up with this essentially like a thesis. I call it a thesis because it is. I'm actually going to be getting in touch with some. Whoa, guys, chill. It's fine. She's not. Maeve, do not try.
That's why we get along so well, Mariah. We like a lot of the, or not like, we get along with a lot of the same type of energies and guides, and that's why you and I are vibing, I bet you.
So here's the gravestone that I looked at.
Right.
This is the portrait that I made, and then this is the person like that belonged to the gravestone. So when you go onto my homepage, like that's the thing that you see. But then if you scroll down, like there are a lot. Like I have a lot of examples.
Yes.
So I think this is probably my favorite one. That one up top.
Yeah. Me too.
But it's crazy. And this other one up top.
I like the captain. The captain one is my favorite one.
So good. It's so good. That one was so sad. Okay,
for a while, so Kara, her husband, he would go and find some well-known guy or girl or somebody across history and would do research on like the name and find a gravestone.
Hey, get off of that. It is
would take the picture of the gravestone or go find somebody within a local radius of where they're from and just tell Kara like a name, or he'd send a picture of the gravestone. No other information. She would start sketching. But and like the type of person would have to have like a portrait or a picture or like another painting to be able to compare, because she's doing visual comparisons. So she would just get the name or she'd just get the gravestone. She goes and does the sketch or the drawing or whatever medium, because she does it all. She paints, she draws, she uses pencil, charcoal, crayon, finger paint, whatever the fuck you want to call it, she's done it.
Leading to this too, because like I'll start doing a reading and be like, oh, I have to use something different, and then I'll just like go grab whatever. Like it's crazy.
She goes where the wind calls. So she goes and does it, and then she'd be like, okay, so here it is. And then Charlie would be like, okay, here's the information, here's the thing, and that's what she's just showing you with those side by sides of like the portrait and then the illustration. That's her documenting her experience of like in field experimenting with her own psychic gifts. It's like a science and an art at once, and it feeds me. The Sagittarius rising in me is like, give me more.
It's so, you know what I've noticed too is when I do those kinds of portraits based on like a photo, like a famous person, right? So that I have something to, because I've done so many portraits of people that, and then I go look them up and I can't find any pictures because like they don't have any. They're too, it's too far gone. Like I don't know how to get in touch with people's families. Like, because I live right next to like the super old graveyard, right? So I had to regroup how I do that, and then it turned into the thing with Charlie and I. But When I'm working from a person, like if I were to draw for you, Jenny, right now, it is such a different experience, because instead of like tuning into a photo or kind of remote viewing a gravestone or remote viewing an object, I'm just going straight to the source, which is your memory and your own brain, which is also how this works in general in the way people communicate with the divine anyway, or spirit in general anyway, which is also very freaking cool. So I'm just like, I'm nerding out so hard.
She also did not long ago, and I participated in it. So sometimes Kara will just like do a post and she's like, hey, drop in the chat a picture that has to do with the significance with somebody that passed on. So I dropped my picture. My family landed from Scotland into the Maritimes, like a lot of Canadians during like turn of the century and earlier than that even did. And a lot of my family
from Ireland
landed in Nova Scotia. So my family has still to this day, it's not in our family anymore, but it still exists. But it was a store that my great-great-grandfather worked in with my grandmother and her sisters in the early 1900s. And it used to be called the Cameron's Merchant in Shellerton, Nova Scotia. Anyway, so I sent just the picture. She didn't have this information. I just sent the picture of a Google Street View of the store.
It was,
and I sent it in the comments of her post. I don't know, maybe an hour goes by. She reports back like with a notification. I click into it and it's a picture, and it's like, it's only an hour's worth of work. If she sat with it for a long time and she like kept building up on the attributes, I know that she would have gotten there. But I can see, because I have pictures of my great grandfather, I can see the nose resemblance. I can see the chin. Like, this is a very much Gordon Cameron trait. This chin right here, and the way that my cheeks, it's very much like I can tell there is a resemblance between the man that she drew and who I look like.
That's so cool.
Crazy. And like, I didn't give you any identity. Like, I cropped out like the name of like where it is. I didn't give you the backstory until after. And I commented that.
It's been like throwing myself into the deep end, because these like super impersonal, like here's an object on my countertop and I have to like draw from that. It's so hard to do.
But you're so good at it, because you almost throw caution to the wind, and like you're like, okay, let's just go and see. Like you like the hold back. There's no hold back. There's just go and let's see. And if I fail, okay, cool, I try again. Like, there's no. I love it.
All I can do.
I wish I had more of that.
I feel like whenever you're working on something and it's this important, like it's this big, I can't just be like, well, this is gonna top it. Like, really? I can't. No, man. I can't just be like, this is how I'm gonna do this from now on. It's gonna change constantly, because your brain is changing constantly. And if my like ADHD, hyperfocus, dopamine searching brain is looking at watercolors for the first time in 2 decades, well, guess who's gonna go buy some watercolors and figure out how it works with the ground that I've started using. It works so well, by the way. But
I love it. Have you come across watercolor pens? By the way, Mariah's asking how much are your portrait sessions? And I know that you have like a different tier system, but I'll let you get into that because it's your business.
So the what I do is, instead of tiers now, I just do a flat. It's a digital sketch, or it's an actual like canvas product. So either on paper or on a canvas painted with oil or pen or whatever it is we talk about. Like, it's a commissioned art basically. So we would talk about that, and I would start working on it, and I would end up with something, and then the person would okay it, and then we'd like continue with it. But those are expensive because it's original commissioned art. But the digital one that we're talking about is 120, like straight up. It doesn't matter how long it takes me. It could take me 45 minutes or it could take me 2 hours, but it kind of like leans closer to the hour and 20-minute range, and then like post, I'll do the time-lapse video and make sure that it's all like the appropriate sizes and stuff, get it all like set up in an email and yada yada yada. And I just feel like starting at like making that a baseline has been really helpful, because it's less confusing whenever people are like, well, what if I want a deity, or what if I want a specific person from my team, or what if I want anybody? Like, just draw somebody who's around me.
Yeah.
And of course I have like no context when that comes, like, I drew this for you, and they're like, okay, who is it? Oh
yeah,
but
you're just picking up on who's around. Totally. That makes sense.
Like,
and having it flat right like that, it gives you more reign of like focusing on what you're drawing and making, instead of worrying about like you're not chasing people. Mariah says perfect, thank you. And she says she'll probably reach out within the week or something. She has an uncle that passed away at 14, and she has a fascination with him, so she's definitely down to connecting, I think.
One time I drew a baby for someone who was trying to connect with their aunt. I didn't know who it was. I was only going off a name, right? So I'm drawing this baby. It's clearly a baby, which is triggering for me because I'm a mom, right? I don't want to be drawing babies, because that means that I'm drawing like deceased. And I'm just like, I have a really hard time with this. I've done that like twice, I think, and it was like amazing and so healing for the person that I did that for. I don't know if I can continue that on my end, because it's like it gets me right here, and I just have a really hard time with it. But at least I know. At least I did it. But anyway, I drew an aunt as a baby, and I got it to her, and she was like, this is so interesting, because my aunt looked like this when I knew her. But the picture that I have been using to reconnect with her is a picture of her as a baby.
That's so cool.
Isn't that weird? Like, that's so crazy. And another one, cool. I don't have a picture to validate it, because this person literally didn't have a picture of this person. So the person that I was working with did not have anything to show me. They just gave me a name and who this person is to them, and I drew a portrait, and they were like, oh my God, thank you, because I haven't seen this person with my seeing eyes in so long, because it was a friend as opposed to like a family member. The family is estranged from this person now, and they can't just go, but it was like their best friend growing up or something, I think.
Oh, that's so touching.
I know, and they didn't have a picture, and then they were able to have at least this picture that I've
That's so cool. You're gonna have such a dope ass gallery one day of all of these stories and interactions. It's gonna be so cool.
What?
And that's all you need, Mariah, is like, if you have a working memory of what that person looked like to you, and you knew them in person, and you're asking for a specific person, and give her like a name, or like if you just say my uncle on my dad's side, whatever you have, minus the personified characteristics of what they look like, because that's going to take away from your experience. You'll be able to produce something. Like if I commissioned with Kara to make a portrait of my deceased grandmother that I never met, I bet you should be able to do it. And I do have pictures of my grandma, and I could like side by side. I bet you.
So I've discovered that the thing that I'm tuning into is, it's almost like using the person. So in this case, if you're asking about your deceased grandmother that you never actually met, or great grandmother, right, that you never actually met, but you have pictures of, I would tune into you and your perception of who that person is, and kind of follow that trail to that person, and ask them if it's okay if I draw them.
Yes, to get consent from the soul.
It's incredible how much easier it is when I do. It's mind-boggling. I'm like, listen, okay,
I'm because you're capturing their essence of what that version of them looked like. So it's nice to be given the opportunity to say yes or no. Which gives me a question. Have you ever been told, no, you can't draw me?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, tell me more.
I know, isn't that cool?
More interesting, because it's like, no, you can't draw me.
So one of these instances, and this was basically like training, which is why Charlie and I were doing the like finding a gravestone thing in the first place. This is like a really cool podcast episode, just so you know.
I'm totally putting this on my YouTube later, so please catch the replay later. If you're just dropping in now, this will be up on my YouTube. And I'll make sure I have Kara's website and information all in the description down below, because she's a rad chick. You gotta go check her out.
It's gonna be really cool when I figure out how to like support this on a grand scale, when I figure out how to get the like following that I need for people to actually book with me, and I develop the reputation that I know I'm going to end up developing, because I'm so grounded that I have had to invent an entire scientific explanation as to why I can do this, because I can't accept that I can just do it. I need to know why.
That's the Libra and the truth seeker within, guys. Just saying, that's the Libra and the truth seeker within.
With Sagittarius rising.
Which is why we get along, because we both are funny, we both like to look into things, and we have to ask why.
Yes! What's really important? Mom, this is really important. Are you stuck?
And if you have questions for Kara, guys, if you have anything, you can drop it in the chat, and we'll be happy to, you know, post a little Q&A.
Yeah, Rexy does want to be on his swing that I made for Rexy for his birthday that was only 2 weeks ago. Maeve, would you get off of that? You guys have 5 minutes before I kick you out of here and make you go inside anyway. Like, this is mama time.
What is that?
What is mom time? I haven't figured it out yet.
Me either.
Maeve Darby. Up and out. Now, I did make him a swing that's so cool, and that's what they're fighting over.
Of course.
I want to be on it. That doesn't mean you just can't. I want $1 million, and unfortunately, that doesn't mean I can
just... you guys follow her so that you get notified of when she does her different stuff on her page, though.
Thank you. And this was scheduled. Like, I invited people to this, and there are definitely more people in your... whatever than mine, because I have 0 viewers over here.
Oh, well.
But
maybe they'll get it on the replay.
Yeah, she's on. Okay, we're go. Give me a minute, okay? I'm gonna do a little bit more of a story. Damn it! No, this is ridiculous. Okay, hold on a second.
I've got it. So the way that Kara and I first interacting was through a psychic development, get to know one another, peer to peer, ask questions, ask about each other's journey, and explore our own individual ways of connecting with spirit. And her and I really vibe because we're kind of like the chaos crew of the group at the time. And we both are in the creative. She makes things and does the art, and I like to do writing and kind of like be the hippie in the nature and in the forest type of thing, and hang out with spirits and like scry in the clouds, and, you know, just really do the escapism. So we've always talked about in the past doing podcasts and like collaborations, and when it hooks up, we have a damn good time. But then life happens and mumming happens, and you know, chaos of life just keeps going on. So when we do get these moments of having connection and being able to talk and like get more in depth with it, it works really well. It's just we have to wait for everything else to like quiet down and die down, and like kids be amused and like go do their thing, so that we can be in like our making mode. So now that she's back, I'll let her continue, but I thought I'd just give a little backstory as to like how we met, how we've like continued and grow, and like my pride and like my enthusiasm for it is because I've seen and been a part of her path for like years, not months. This isn't this isn't like a parasocial. She's not somebody that I just see on TikTok. She's somebody that I've known for a long time. She's known me when I was pregnant with my twins. She's known me when I've had squabbles with my husband. I've known when she's had squabbles with hers. We've connected as moms. We've never met in person, but that's only because we can't afford the passports or the diesel for the plane
seriously. You know what I can't afford? To go to Hawaii, and I think probably you should just meet me there. I can't actually afford to do that, but if one of us has to travel anyway, like one of the things that I really want to do is travel the world and go to a bunch of different haunted locations and draw whatever shows up at that. Wouldn't that be so cool? Like, I want my own show, okay?
I'll bring all my paranormal friends with me because I have a paranormal investigating bestie that I met here when I moved. And I'll bring her with so that she can bring all her tools and gadgets. I'll tap in, you'll tap in, and we'll have a kick-ass time.
Dude, I wonder if this person could like send me a super obscure information and I validate something with a picture.
And then I'm like, yeah, and their name's Susan.
And who like the thing that I dream about because I'm a total nerd is somebody sending me a thing saying, can you please draw the person that murdered this person?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't know if I can do that. Why would I be able to do that? I have no idea, especially if like a lot of times ghosts and energies don't even like retain that kind of knowledge.
No. Unless it's like a super traumatic, then it's like a signature in that area. And that's what a lot like paranormal investigations on like sites where they are getting multiple hits of the same information and it's almost like a loop track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where there was something to like a grain of salt with some of the paranormal investigation. Mariah Amai says, oh, mediumship just started for me, and that sounds overwhelming. It is and it isn't. It's like the more that you get like exposure therapy and the more that you learn your way of communicating with spirit. So like she does it through a very visual medium and contact, and like it's through her art that she's connecting. But she also does her own worship, and like I won't get into like the way that she speaks with her guides, but there's a connection and there's a way of her interpreting. And like while we can both have our own ways and language with spirit, we're able to connect, her and I, and like I'll explain something on how I'm receiving information and what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, and she'll be able to relate or correlate some type of way, because her guides, if I'm asking, I don't understand what my guides are saying to me, what are your spirit guides telling you about what my situation is? And if she were to tap in, she would get her own information that's one-to-one and understanding for her, but then be able to like translate that in a way that it makes sense for me and tell me, hey, get your head out of your ass, it's all going to be okay, you're anxious, like and
I can even say with a straight face, yes, that's exactly how I feel.
But like that's a part of like the peer-to-peer developmental part where it's like, hey, we're all learning, we're all starting off on like some foundational basis here, whether we've been doing this our whole lives and we're just putting a name to it and we're understanding it now, or we just had our head cracked open, the door is wide open, and we have no idea what the fuck we're doing, but shit's happening to us, and there's too many synchronicities and too many things that are aligning that it's hard to ignore. The spirit, the language gets loud, and it's that noise and that overwhelming feeling that's like, where do I even begin? And that's why having a mentor or some type of place to start, and a lot of people in the community talk about researching and developing your own gnosis, like what she did, where she's like, it's not just good enough that I know how I do this. Why do I know how to do this? Where does this come from? Is this a part of the psyche? I'm not special. This belongs to everyone. What part of the consciousness, what part of the brain, what part of me is this coming through, this thesis, this theory, this working concept? Because even with these abilities, it's almost like a pre-made idea that like once you unlock your spiritual whatever part of yourself, you know everything. You have the answers to the galaxy. But it's like the more you know isn't the more you know. You're left with more questions because you're continuing to peel back those layers of yourself, those layers, that shadow work, the ideas of where does this come from, how many times has this been celebrated, what cultures worked in these types of ways. And you really start to like look at not just our systems that we grew up in, but you go back to other systems and other ancient cultures and how the pantheons of different civilizations communicated, the storytelling, and like there's just so many avenues that comes with it.
I just thought of a great metaphor to explain how I personally have like grown in communication. So okay, imagine like a super old school like 20s 30s switchboard where you like have all the little things that you're switching into the different spots. When you first start this, it's almost like going up to a switchboard and looking at it and thinking like, this is so weird, I've never seen anything like this before. Hey, I wonder what would happen if I plugged this thing in. And then someone starts talking to you and like, oh my god, because you've never seen a telephone before, apparently. And so like the fact that somebody's actually being able to talk to you because you plugged in this thing is so mind-boggling and insane that that's that first hurdle that you have to get past before you actually know that you can unplug it and plug it into something different, or you can plug two in at the same time, merge calls, and then, you know, by the time you've been working there for a couple of years, you're kind of a seasoned vet and you know how to like work this switchboard, and you know how to turn down the volume and turn up the volume, and you know how to like do these things and not in a wildly overwhelming and sometimes pointless way, because somebody has to be on the other end in order for a voice to come through. You know what I mean? Like if that other person hasn't picked up the phone, then it's dead air. Mm-hmm. Right? So this perfectly relates to when we were talking about the Titanic captain.
Oh yeah,
or the captain of the Titanic. So when that started, I was like, okay, this is really hard to do. Like I'm not getting anything. Okay, I'm gonna regroup. Did I miss anything? And so when I was checking in, like, did I miss something? Like, this is really difficult. They were like, no, but here's the thing. We're not going to let you connect with him. And I was like, oh, why? They're like, first of all, you didn't ask permission for him, from him. And that was like early in the like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that now. 'Cause I just forgot. And secondly, this entire story is so traumatic that we don't even want you to touch it. Aww. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you what to draw. I will show you what to draw. You're going to ask permission from him, but then you're going to work through me. And the me that I was referring to is either King Belial or Lucifer, but usually both at the same time.
Right.
And that's and that's just how that switchboard works for me, in order for me to get the information without all of the static, or get the visual cues without the like random panic attack that just, it shouldn't be there. Yeah. That has only happened a couple of times, but it was one of those like, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. Emotionally, nothing is wrong.
It's like he was shielding you from what it's like he was shielding you from like a possible version of seeing a gnarly sight potentially, because you don't know how that person's last minutes play out.
And it was choice too. Like he, you know, the whole like he went down with his ship. It was literally a choice at that point. So when you think about like all of the different ways that things went wrong that led up to this, like, and sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I start to remember and actually connect with him. And I think that I did at the very beginning of either at the very beginning of the portrait or at the very end. And it was just like overwhelming sadness, just so sad, and not angry, not stressed out, not frustrated, just like
acceptance of the situation of like, oh fuck.
Which is of course like an echo of those last moments, not necessarily like him as a soul. Like that part has certainly moved on, but I'm creating that by asking to connect with it. I'm basically conjuring up a ghost from an echo of an experience that can come and communicate. And this is what I mean by like having to I don't know, jump through mental hoops that are on fire in order to like wrap my own mind around how and why I can do this. Because you're right, that's listed on the page, like, this belongs to everybody. This isn't something that only belongs to me. It's like being, and this might be delusions of grandeur, but it feels a little bit like I found a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull, and being able to connect these dots, finding out how this kind of works, and then offering the class so that people can figure it out, and then hopefully writing a book so that anybody can do it, because it belongs to everybody. It's like finding a gigantic, fully intact Tyrannosaurus Rex skull, and then being like, this is mine. Like, no, babe.
I think it's more like you found your natural way of finding a way to communicate what it is you're seeing, feeling, sensing. Mine, it's more in the delivery and confirming who I'm speaking to still exists, has an existence, even if we can't perceive what that looks like after our physical body is left behind on this world. Where does the rest of that consciousness evolve and go after? Does it leave? Do we stay? Does a part of us go? And my whole thing is that I believe that the existence of that soul and spirit sends back a data and has like this recollection and a review, because this whole time, similar to like how she's fact checking and looking into how she's connected and can touch into this stream of being and going back and making art from it, so that people have a heirloom piece, a genealogy connection, or there's just a visual proof for herself of she's tapping into something she's got no background on, and she can just make something from it. Whereas for me, I'm more connecting into, yes, this still exists, because I don't know you. I've read internationally. I've read people across the world. I've read people that I've known growing up, and I've been able to connect not only to their people, but their animals, and I'm picking up not only on physical attributes, but I'm picking up on their characteristics, what they liked, hobbies that they enjoyed, their personality, what made them them. And it's confirming, and I hope, like, my whole objective is that I'm hoping that it's bringing some type of relief, sense of caring, and that life isn't over for us, even though the life here ends. Like, there's still an existence and a togetherness that we may not have language for, but we as spiritual practicing people believe still has a connection with us, even if certain belief systems tell you it doesn't, or it doesn't exist, and it's our way or the highway.
So imagine, sorry, go ahead. I
was just gonna say that, like, it's really interesting that across like different cultures and different ways of connecting to a higher source or a different God or belief system, that it always comes back down to our connection with something that is other. Whereas the connection that I'm starting to like dabble with is like, is it other, or is it just a deeper inner? Because it's easier to look external and outside of ourselves than to sit with the deepest part of ourselves and why we are searching for like a purpose or a belief system that is like outside of us. Whereas like if you draw it in and look inside of us, what she's talking about, where she's like, I'm not special, anyone can do this isn't just something I can do, which I believe in too. I use more of a metaphor of like, everybody has this capability to be spiritually minded and to be a psychic in their own way. Because if you look back when you were in school, some kids were good with English, some people were more natural with science, some people were natural in sports but couldn't do their book work. We each have a natural ability to connect. Some people can see things in their mind's eye. Some people can see like people out of the peripheral. You know, something moves in the shadows. Some people get like the heebie-jeebie feeling, you know, creepy crawlies up your back, or like goosebumps down their arms. That's called clairsentience. That's clear feeling. There's clear cognizance, which is just clear knowing. That's where you're like, oh, I know this man named Jim, and he did this, and this is what he did, but you've never interacted with that person in your life, but you came across this information, and it's just this instant, clear understanding, clear knowing, clear download of information that you didn't have beforehand, and it doesn't belong to you because you don't have a history with that connection. And there's a whole bunch of other ones too. There's clear auditory, there's clear smell, clear taste, like there's even more. And if you get into like the energy centers, there's different ways of understanding that too. But it's like what she was saying, anybody has that capability. She's just found her modality and the way that she brings healing to her clients through her art, which is beautiful because art, no matter the type of medium, is healing. Not a medium, but like medium, art, charcoal, paint, music,
Literally
theater.
the artistic medium.
That's what I mean.
I call my method.
It's just beautiful because whereas I have another friend that is a witch and she gets really into like her witchiness, but she's also a musician. She's plays the guitar, she sings, she's also been a dancer her whole life. And if her EDS didn't kick her ass, she probably still would. And it's just like, it's just so cool. And like, I've started to really tap back into now that I'm like not pregnant anymore and my babies are all growing and they're all finding their own ways, and like my babies aren't really young anymore. I mean, they're gonna be one soon, but like I've got some time back to myself that I'm writing again. So like it's just really cool, and the way that we're able to bring like creation and the spiritual aspects of ourselves and find healing in it, not only for ourselves but for others and what we're making, and being able to not only like confirm and show others like what you do, but confirming there's a way of communicating with the other side, and it doesn't just have to be like somebody like me who's talking about it. It's somebody like her that can draw, and it's just so cool.
It is so cool, especially when those things like
overlap.
Yes, intersect.
Remember when, so Kara at the beginning of her and I like collaborating, she would wear like different headsets so she couldn't get my direct information, but it would be the same session. So she would like block me out and my noisy ass mouth, and she would go into like her little mood of like zoning in and like doing her thing, and she would draw and bring up at the end of the session when I was done reading for somebody and talking about what I sensed, smelled, seen, heard, and doing my way. We would at the end, she would present like a sketch of like what she picked up on, and it would like overlap, and other people in our peer group, because this is where we started doing this stuff, were just like mind blown. And it's just so cool, like depending on if it's a god that you ask for her to draw, a deity, somebody that you knew in your life, your favorite animal, to like, even if you wanted to like have her draw a historical place, she probably would. Like, it doesn't just have to be people.
You know what I did last night? I was drawing and I was looking at the whole, and then I was looking at like, I was zeroing in and looking at little areas, and I ended up with what looked like a tree and then like faces in the branches, and I was really enjoying like playing with that kind of like sense of pareidolia and how people kind of perceive different things. So like,
oh yes, oh, so like is that like when you look into a tree and like the bark and you can see faces in the bark?
Yeah,
that's so cool. That's exactly so cool. I knew at one point, sorry, this is so off topic, but it kind of goes with it. So, you know, chainsaw art with like people that use chainsaws to like make a sculpture. Chris and I knew this guy, and he'd get, you know, he would garden and get really elevated with life, but he'd go and like make something based on what the bark face looked like, because he's elevated, he's touching some type of other alternated consciousness state. So then when he's looking at this chunk of like a cut up tree, and he'd look at the bark and he'd start making art and sculpture with like his chainsaw and carving and using his knives and whatever, that based on what image he saw in the bark. It was like so trippy.
That's so cool.
Anyway,
that's right up there with what the frick, pareidolia in general. I like to use in conjunction with Uncanny Valley. So when I'm creating, I'm gonna use the brain's, like my own brain's want to fill in the gaps, to like make something complete by actively searching for a face in a bunch of nothing. Like that's the foundations I was talking about, like the circles or the hatch marks.
right, yeah.
I'm going to be looking for a face in that, but I'm also using Uncanny Valley because Uncanny Valley is the thing that allows humans to recognize other humans, right? So if I'm looking at this and it looks just, it's wrong for some reason, and I don't understand why it's wrong. Well, the intention is to draw, the intention that I set at the beginning of this is to draw the person that this thing belonged to, or the person named yada, 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 yada. And I don't know personally what that person looks like, but the intention is to draw that person. So when I'm looking at it and it feels like it's not quite right, it's kind of like using Uncanny Valley and that ability to recognize when something is definitely not human. Not necessarily knowing exactly when it is human, but recognizing that there's something wrong here and you can't put your finger on it. And I just kind of like associate that with Uncanny Valley. So while I'm working, I'll be like, okay, so this looks right, but then if I cover it, this section doesn't look right. But if I cover this section does look right. So I'm gonna work toward changing this section. But in order for me to see that, I'm gonna let my brain work for me. So my brain is again gonna use that like ability to fill in the blanks. Though you know, like when you start reading something, you're only reading the like first two letters and the last letter, and your brain likes to fill in the blanks. It's not necessarily something that people do all the time on purpose. It just happens. And especially if you have like something, if you're anticipating something anyway. So when I'm doing a drawing and I recognize that this thing needs to change, I'll start using that hand motion and I'll go back and forth and I'll like dim the lights a little bit. I'll stand back because I'm nearsighted, but at the same time, like I'll kind of squint and I'll do that thing that artists do where you're like, I'm going to purposefully make things hazy. I'm going to purposefully use my brain's connection with pareidolia. I'm going to purposefully use this brain's ability to recognize humanity, and I'm going to, with purpose, make this wrong so that my brain has to fill in the gaps. And then so my brain is filling in the gaps, and I see that this like eye should be a little lower, and so I try it and then it looks right. It's not necessarily like something is off, but no, this looks right. And that
you're following that intuition. You're following that intuition of like, I made this here, but is this like structurally how it's supposed to composition? Because maybe at that time you're focused in on the eye shape, where the light is, where the darkness, the vision of like where the pupil is, how big the iris, the shape of like where the brow bone is, where it sinks in, if there's shadow natural here, where the highlight is. It's like you're focused on this part, but maybe like they're more widespread, maybe they're more narrow, maybe they have a tinier bridge, and it's like you have to like mess around with the composition of the rest of the face after you get those certain details.
So it's so much easier, especially physical mediums are so much more personal for sure. Digital mediums are way easier to use.
Well, and I've seen that firsthand when you're doing your lives and you've finished an eyeball, or if like somebody's lip naturally turns down maybe like a little bit more on the side of the corner of their mouth, and like nobody is perfectly symmetrical. There's like one part of our jaw can be longer than the other. Oh, good night, buddy. And
knocked into the sofa by his sister.
Oh, shoot. And like the way our nostrils and like our ears, how like one could be like lower than the other, our eyebrows, like all these different things. Our faces aren't perfectly symmetrical. So for her to get on that level of listening to her intuition and being like, okay, where am I? It's not that she's being Dr. Frankenstein and like going in after the work is done and she's got the product of like features on the screen. She's going in and making it so that it's recognizable to a T, because her intuition is telling her, hey, there's this thing, there's this thing, there's this thing, and she's going, okay, I need to tweak this just a little bit more on this side, move this up, make this darker, and she's going in and continuing. It's just a part of her process. It's not just in the making, but it's in the refining too. And I've seen that firsthand.
It's really cool. It like, and how it kind of all come together, and now I have this giant book, basically. I mean, I hope that it becomes a book, but I'm gonna.
I'd buy it.
My goal is to join forces, I guess, if you will, with a couple of different neuroscientists and work with them on the actual, like, I don't know, basically putting, like, taking my, like, hey, I think that I know what pareidolia means, and looking it up and like pitting that up, not against, but allowing somebody with the foundational knowledge to back me up. Yeah, is I guess what I'm hoping for.
You're proving your method, and through your own experience, you're backing it up with these other pieces of way that our eyes and our brains interpret not only light and shadow, and where our brains will happen to pattern recognize, or where we recognize faces, or how we are with our symbolism and the way that our dreams, like, you're looking into the psychology part of how these things show up. And it's not just that you're doing it, but multiple people over hundreds or thousands of years have been doing it and communicating, like what you're talking about with those spirals, the cross markings, and
you're like such a priestess. I'm so for real. Like, I've never felt more like a priestess before since I started this work.
I love it. And I love that you're so in your element, and that you're owning it, and that even when, you know, different avenues of life have taken you different places, that you keep coming back to what it is to be you. And like, you've just been continuing to like peel back and like look for ways to, like, you've got an actual product now. Remember when this was just like a sketch? You have a product now, and it should be celebrated, your evolution.
Oh, my screen is at 66%.
I have to go put babies to bed anyways. I can hear them starting to cry and whine and, you know, start to make those bedtime noises. But this has been so fun, and we should do this more often, and maybe we do an actual session of like you doing it.
That would be so fun. Oh, you should get a hold of your friend, the friend that does paranormal investigating.
I will. She'd probably be so down for it. And she's the night owl, so we can do this all night long with her. And I'll try and like organize something.
We just have to like turn the, yeah, I love that. Let's fucking go.
Okay.
Oh, and I have another friend, and she is amazing at like herbology, like herbs, knowing, and like traditional witchcraft. And oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's like she's the apothecary Bible, and I'm just making tools for her, and then I'm kind of like creating this like visual, anyway, you gotta go. But it's just really cool, and I think that I'm surrounding myself with the coolest fucking people, and you're definitely part of that huge, like, I'm so happy that I've been able to create these friendships over the couple like years that I've been doing this. This is so cool.
Me too.
Like,
it's so special.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know who would be perfect for this? This person that I know that's also great, that works beautifully in these areas, and is also like, anyway, it's just really cool. I love this.
It is. Me too. Okay, we'll chat soon, and thank you for those that have dropped by on the live tonight, that have commented, that have asked questions, that have donated, that I've done readings for, and the zodiac questions, and then the questions about how she's been able to connect and do her art. And please go subscribe to Amused, A'_MUSED. She also has a website. Her name's Kara. She's awesome. Thank you, everyone, and I will catch you next time. If you haven't already, I do have a follow me. You can get notified when I go live and I do my readings. I'm Jenny. I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. I also do zodiac and tarot readings if you're interested, and I do a lot of donations. So it's whatever you can afford, especially in this kind of economy. I totally get it. So bringing those messages of advice and love from beyond to you in a way that's more pocket friendly. And I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for hanging out. Bye, Kara. We'll talk.